Hey Underdogs, welcome back to Underdogs Rise, the podcast where we rise together. We are all music of our own crescendo. We're not just listeners of our music or the music that we decide to listen to on the radio. We're not just creators of it, but we are the music itself. And that is unfolding within us, moment by moment. Our melody is shaped by our experience. Our influences is set by a rhythm of our choices. And our harmony is created through the relationships that we continue to develop. See, the meaning of a crescendo in a musical piece is a gradual increase in loudness or volume. Which means that as we develop, and strengthen our meaning and our way of how we express ourselves, in that process we become more fully ourselves. You know that there are no musical pieces that are alike. They're all different. And just like with humans, no two humans carry the same rhythm. No two humans carry the same song, the same symphony. Yet when we stand together, when we rise together, we're able to form something much larger than ourselves. And that is an orchestra of our humanity. Every song that has ever been written begins somewhere. It begins within us. Not with a symphony or a single note. Life is much the same. You know, we arrive in our reality, in this world, not knowing who we are going to become. What song are we going to play? We don't know the people that we're going to meet, the challenges that we are going to face, the lessons that we'll learn, or the love that we'll discover, or the grief that we will carry. That all lies ahead of us. Just like how a melody waits to unfold, our life unfolds with each choice that we make. Whether we feel we're on the right path or whether we feel that we're just falling behind. Music itself doesn't compare itself to other pieces of music. One instrument doesn't try and become another. Because each of those instruments contributes something unique. Maybe one of our greatest freedoms is embracing our own melody. Every life that we encounter has their own rhythm, their own breath. Even our heart has its own rhythm. And yet we often resist these natural rhythms within us. We believe that we must always be productive, always to be motivated, to improve constantly. Our melodies, our own music requires variation. Different components, different movements, a tempo, a pitch, a cadence to the words we decide to say and choose in those moments when we decide to sing and sing our hearts out. Because for many of us, sometimes growth looks like moving forward and moving fast. But then there are also times where growth looks like standing still long enough just to hear the notes of our heart, and what it's been trying to tell you all along. Without the pauses in music, in symphonies, in orchestras, it can just become noise. And without that space, they lose their meaning. And that silence gives shape to the sound. It gives shape to the feeling. And as I navigate through my own life, life offers us a similar lesson. That many of us, and myself included, have feared silence. We fill every waking moment with distraction. As soon as you wake up in the morning, we're on our phones. Instant noise, instant activity. The answers that most of us are seeking are not always found through constant effort, constant seeking for approval. Sometimes they are found just through simply listening. And listening to ourselves, to our emotions, to our feelings, and to life itself. You know, there are some pieces of music where it doesn't sound pleasant. It can create tension. But it moves us anyway. There could be moments where we could just wish we could just continue to move them and to move through them. But if we choose to listen carefully, more carefully, to the stories of wise people in our lives, you'll start to notice something. That the chapters that we wish once were erased, they were the chapters that taught us the most. That the setbacks strengthened our resilience. The uncertainty we felt expanded their understanding. Not because suffering is meant to feel good, but it's that we have an extraordinary capacity to create meaning from difficulty, from our challenges, from our suffering. A crescendo is a gradual increase in intensity. It builds, it expands, it grows stronger over time. Our life is not meant to peak at the beginning. And you're not simply to become less of yourself as the years pass. We are meant to become more alive, more authentic, more loving. More appreciative of the moment we have right now. The tragedy that we may all face is not growing older. It's shrinking your curiosity. It's shrinking my curiosity. It's shrinking your engagement with your own life. A crescendo invites us to expand. And invites us to see what is unfolding in us already. I've spent too long trying to fit into someone else's melody. And maybe you too can resonate with that. Trying to gain approval and play someone else's instrument. But our world, our reality doesn't need another copy of us. It needs your voice. It needs your authenticity. And it needs the way that you see things and how you feel. Because when that happens, when we stop performing, the music that we hear becomes clearer. And it becomes our own. We are all connected. We all influence one another. And a beautiful harmony does not happen because we all sing the same note. We don't need everyone to think like us, believe like us, or even like us. We need understanding, respect, compassion, and the willingness just to listen. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And our energy, your energy, shapes the music of your life. If we constantly choose to focus on what is missing, our song becomes dominated by the lack of what is not there. When we choose to be grateful, truly grateful, that helps change the tone of the music that we hear and the music that we listen to. Compassion changes that tone. Love changes that tone. Be the conductor of your own life. Because every day you hold that baton, and every day you have the opportunity to create your own piece of music. The crescendo that we seek does not lie somewhere in the future. It's already happening. What of this ordinary day matters? What if the life that I'm currently living is not a destination, but it's a process? The crescendo is something that is unfolding right now, in this moment, and with every single breath that you take. We are all music of our own crescendo. And there may be some of us that are in quiet moments, but that does not mean that the orchestra is not there with you. You don't need to rush it, you don't need to compare it. Because the most beautiful of crescendos does not have to be the loudest. It can be simply the one that naturally who naturally listens. Who decides to grow. Who decides to wear the heart on their sleeve. And continues walking anyway. You're not just hearing the music of life, you're part of it. A beautiful crescendo still rising forward to its fullest expression. Maybe it's time for you to follow your own heart song. And deeply listen to the melody that has been playing for you all your life. Underdogs rise, and we rise together.